One of the main issues in global literacy discussions has to do with indigenous languages and literature. A lexicographer and poet, William Eleji Abili, has written a handbook of Igbo glossary comprising translations of about 4,000 words of the English language to Igbo language in a bid to preserve the Igbo language. Igbo is the principal native language of an ethnic group in southeastern Nigeria. There are approximately 24 million speakers of the language who are primarily of Igbo descent. Here is my discussion with William. Willie, nice to have you on Channels Book Club.
My pleasure.
Let's start with this. Igbo here is spelled I-G-B-O. You know, there's also I-B-O. What's the difference?
I can really say Igbo, GB, B, is too difficult for the white man to say, B. So I think the colonial masters found it convenient to say Igbo than Igbo, yeah.
Okay, because
that's my guess.
There's a lot of Igbo in literature out there.
Absolutely.
So when I saw this, I said, you should be the expert to tell me.
I think it's for ease of pronunciation.
Okay.
Yeah, for ease of pronunciation.
Okay, so English Igbo dictionary.
Okay.
Let's put your book in context. Let's talk about the Igbo.
All right.
Okay. How many languages and dialects do we have in Nigeria? And where does Igbo fit in here in terms of importance?
Thank you very much. My take on that is this. There are about 521 languages in Nigeria. I'm not too sure of the number of dialects, the total number of dialects, but you would expect each language to have, broad language to have dialects. Like in Yoruba, you have Eba, you have Ilaje, you have the Yorubas. Okay, so in Igbo also, we have Ikweres, we have Ikaibo, we have Abia, Enyimba, that's what I call them. Then Igbo Kake, Imo, that is Central Igbo. And then we have the Wawas, which is mainly Enugu State. And what I would call the Savannah Igbos, which is mainly Enugu and part of Ebonyi.
Okay, so languages are like broad divisions.
They are
and then when you say dialects, they're like subdivisions of languages.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
There will be a generic characteristics, but subtle differences, especially in inflection.
Now, why did you write this book?
Let me just say that there was so much energy in me looking for expression. That is how I got into this. And more so, it was a byproduct of the main work, which is Pied. In any case, in the course of doing this, I came by some very appalling facts. It will interest you to know that about 90% of the about 7,000 languages spoken in the world currently is going to be extinct by 2050.
Oh.
51 African languages are already extinct.
51?
Out of the 251 spoken in Nigeria, about 10 are dead, one of which is Igbo, expected to become extinct in 2025. There's a difference between dead and extinction.
Okay.
Dead, I would like to suppose, just means that the language is no longer current. Or maybe it has atrophied. There's been so much language attrition, or maybe compromise in the use of lexicon, that even when it is spoken, an alien vocabulary is more in the lexicon than the pristine lexicon. For instance, Igbo, English Igbo. When Igbo says something, more than 70% is English.
You are saying the language has been adulterated.
It has been corrupted.
It's been corrupted.
Yes.
Interesting. Now, how easy is it for a non-Igbo speaking person, to use this book to find his way in an Igbo community? Let's say.
Yeah. What you are asking is, what is the usefulness of a dictionary to the development of Igbo language? What I would say to that is, I will leave that to history and posterity. the verdict of history and posterity. But let me just say that this compilation, nobody can take away the fact that it's a repository of Igbo language lexicon, both in quantity and quality. When I am in quantity, I went into things like use of Igbo in commerce, in science, in philosophy.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So, you know, that gave way to some level of neologism. And then, of course, he gave a pan-Igbo account of the Igbo language, accommodated as many dialects as possible while still retaining what is generally regarded as the mode. And then, of course, on the other hand, you talk of quality. You see, I interpreted words the way we Igbos understand those words, not the way English speakers understand Igbo. For instance, a word like innocence. If you want to interpret it literally, innocent.
Yeah, okay.
It will be onye ikpe amaho. But I just said akadiocha.
Okay.
So you see remorse. I said inozi onwegi nota.
Okay.
And then something like rape. I said esibote. So that's just the uniqueness of the book.
Now this
but
is...
whether it will be of much use for fluency, you know, I would say I don't think so. It's a matter for another text, you know. But this certainly will slow down Igbo atrophy and attrition, especially if properly assimilated.
But I find it very, very useful for somebody who doesn't speak Igbo. I don't speak Igbo, you know, because there are some very fundamental, basic things here. Good morning. Yeah. Let me see. I may murder the language, but Bolachi.
Ibolachi.
Yeah?
Isalachi. Ibolachi.
Ibolachi. Then there's Ututuoma. That's good morning.
Absolutely.
Okay, so even though I may destroy the pronunciation.
Absolutely.
But it gives an idea of what good morning is.
Basic observance of courtesy, which will help your acceptance in Igbo community. But I doubt very much, because you see,
you doubt what?
That is even acceptance of somebody just because he spoke Igbo. I told you of suspicion and doubt.
But I don't think that's the objective.
You know, when you speak an Igbo to an Igbo, a Yoruba to or Hausa, as the case may be, to their people, it gives you leverage. You tend to be more favorably considered. That is not for the Igbo. You understand? It's like I said, the first reaction is suspicion and doubt. And in any case, they look down on speaking of the language. So the tendency is for him to reply you in English.
Then why should I learn Igbo?
That is one of the reasons of language atrophy. That is why the language is dying. Most people don't see why they should learn Igbo when it is not a tool for survival. If you go in the marketplace where Igbos are in the majority and you speak Igbo to the person selling article, is he going to consider you and not sell fake something or give you high price just because you spoke Igbo?
So why should I buy your book and read it? Why?
Well, this book is supposed to be, like I said, a repository of Igbo values. Their cultural traditions, their philosophy, their civilization, most importantly, the Igbo identity. It is posterity that will benefit more from this book than even, let me even just say that this book, if you take it to Southeast, you are like taking coal to Newcastle. It is people who are even in the diaspora that will appreciate this book more because they are hungry for a taste of their roots. And their children are asking where they are coming from.
So your objective, your mission is to preserve the language.
I think that is the key. That is the key use of this book. It helps in preservation.
The development of a nation or a country, does it have any connection to how developed its indigenous languages are? I think I heard you say yes somewhere in there.
Well, let me just say this. You cannot be wiser than God. You understand? All languages on earth were one, and speech. It is because man wanted to achieve immortality through the mortar, Genesis 11:4, that man was confounded by giving them different tongues so that they can't understand each other. Because when language is understanding, there is difference between knowledge and understanding. You may know something, you don't understand it. when you communicate with somebody in his language, it's easier to carry that person along. For ease of socialization and grassroots mobilization, for instance, our language must not die. For preservation of our ethos and cultural traditions and other values, our language must not die. For preservation of our identity as a people, our language must not die. In fact, if you more developed cultures like Ethiopia is a pre-colonial state, and they have antiquity in their traditions because they had a writing. And Amharic is Ethiopian lingua franca. So how can such a nation not be ahead of you? Because if they want to even go to United Nations to take a position, they will interpret it in their language. Sometimes they may even talk in their language and an interpreter will be talking in English. Is that not esteem, self-esteem and dignity? You go to United Nations, a Chinaman will come, English will talk his own, but we will always speak English. We are tied to the apron strings of the white man. But you see other world-renowned civilizations and advanced cultures and developed nations, they speak their language in international fora.
I hope you enjoyed today's show. Please join us on any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.